Well, welcome to Science Today, you guys. We're going to be looking at lesson 2.1, exploring the classroom body system model. You'll start out at the warm-up, and the warm-up has you launch the simulation. You'll bring it up. You'll select healthy body, select observe. Just focus on the oxygen and the other molecules by pressing on the other molecules at the bottom of the screen to hide them. Observe and describe how oxygen moves through the different parts of the body. So you're going to just explain and describe in detail what do you see happening to the oxygen molecules within the body, and that would be, of course, a healthy body. So you'll click healthy body, yes, observe, and then you're going to click all of these other molecules down here at the bottom except for oxygen and just focus on what happens to oxygen. So you'll want to pause the video here to go ahead and do the warm up. So we're going to move on to activity 2, which is going to be the classroom. We're going to use the entire classroom and create a body system model. So in this, we're going to investigate how the molecules from food and air get into the cells of the body. We're going to use this new model to help us investigate, and then you're going to use the sim as well today as the computer model. So we're going to create a life-size physical model first. So we're going to use this video to help us out to explain how you're going to do this activity. So you're going to have a station that is the small intestines. You're going to have a station that's the lungs. You'll have an arm muscle. You will have a cell station, and you will have a few other stations. It's going to represent the different parts of the body. And at each station, if you have a cell or an organelle that or something that the cells that you're going to have or the molecules that you're going to have are going to go into, you will pass them through the membrane of whatever it is at that station. So in the small intestines, we'll have a villi card. And the villi is basically a part of the stomach, and we're going to watch a video on that in a little bit. The alveoli is a part of your lungs, and you will pass those individual molecules. Remember, I said individual molecules through these holes to represent them going into those locations. The same thing with the cell membrane. You'll have the cell membrane at a couple locations too. Okay, so you're going to have pipe cleaners to represent the different types of molecules. You're going to have yellow ones put together as a group of three to represent one starch molecule. Okay, there are three parts to that starch molecule. You're going to have three purple ones to represent the protein molecule, and you'll have three of those. Now, if you notice down here, each yellow one represents a piece of glucose or a molecule of glucose. So three of those stack together to make a starch. Amino acids, an individual purple one is an amino acid, and three of those stack together to create a protein. You'll also have oxygen molecules as well. So some of these will be twisted together, and you'll have to untwist them and pass them through individually, except for the oxygen. The oxygen won't be. And then once they break down, they'll be glucose or amino acids. So again, keep in mind the three molecules that are put together or the three parts that are put together represent large molecules. That's why we twist them together because they're too large to get in the cell on their own, so they have to be broken down. So we're going to look at how you're going to do this. So if you get one of those, do you remember what they were? The purple? The purple ones are the proteins. So if you get a protein, it's going to need to be broken down and pass through, for example, the villi. So the small intestines will take in proteins. It'll pass it through the villi. And we're going to use those cards to help us to represent openings that the molecule will pass through. So you can see them doing that here. If you notice here, they're passing oxygen into the lungs through the alveoli. So in the lungs, you'll need oxygen, and you'll have to pass that through the alveoli. And then the starch molecules will be broken down, okay, and they will be passed through. Now, those, after it leaves the small intestines, it may go to your brain or it may go to your arm cell and be passed through it, or your muscle cell, because your brain, your arm, and your muscle cell are going to need these molecules as well. Remember that those yellow molecules put together represent starch, and broken down they represent glucose, and together the purple molecules represent proteins, and broken down they become amino acids. So you'll be passing those through the different locations in the body. So you're going to work in groups of 4 today, and each group member will play a role in the model based on the role card. 3 people will play the role. Excuse me, 3 people will play the 3 body system roles. So you'll have 1 person at each one of those, or you'll have people at each one of those stations, and then 1 will play the cell role. So right now I'm going to bring a set of role cards to each group of 4 students, and we're going to move on from there. So each group is going to choose just one of the 3 cell cards that they received and choose the type of cell that you are going to represent in your model. And you can put the other 2 cards to the side. So at the digestive system station, you will see a villi card, and you're going to take 1 molecule of food at a time and break it down into smaller molecules and deliver it to the circulatory system. Now remember, you have to travel it through your body just like you would travel food through your own body. So you'll untwist those molecules of starch, break them down into glucose because they're too large to get through the villi, and the same with the protein, and then you will have to pass each individual one through the villi one at a time, and you'll have to take turns. When you get to the respiratory system, your role is going to be to take 1 molecule at a time from the environment station and deliver it to the circulatory system. So you'll have 1 person that'll move back and forth between and start passing those through that villi at the respiratory system station. Okay, so you'll deliver it to the circulatory system by pushing it through the alveoli card at the lung station. So you're going to take it from the lung station and you'll move it to the circulatory system once it has passed through the alveoli. Then in the circulatory system, you're going to pick up the molecules at the lung station and the small intestines and carry them to one of the 3 cell stations. So you're going to have 3 different cell stations, and you're going to have to take them there and take them through the cell membrane at that cell station so they can enter into the cell. And those can be delivered to any one of your 3 cells. The muscle cell, there's 3 different types of cells. You can deliver it to either one of those. Remember, you want to make sure you get molecules to every cell because otherwise that part of the body will die off or not work well because it won't be getting what it needs. So in any of the cell roles, you'll try to collect molecules you need by communicating with the circulatory system. So you are going to be the only ones in the class that are going to be communicating with those at the circulatory system saying, hey, I need this. Your card's going to tell you what you need in order to survive. So you're going to need to request those from them so that they can pass them along to you. So here's how the classroom is going to be set up. We're going to have a table at the front that's going to have starch, protein, and oxygen, which starch and protein, remember, those are the larger molecules that you'll have to break down. And then the digestive system is going to break down the food and carry single pipe cleaners to the small intestines. So the digestive system is represented by these blue arrows. So the people that are digesting food will break it down and bring it to the small intestine station. The small intestine station, they will have to pass it through the cards that are at the station, and then those cards or those molecules can be passed to the circulatory system, okay, and they can be passed to the cells at they are the circulatory system passing it to the cells at the end. So we'll have people at each one of these stations, and these guys will be transferring the molecules that are needed from the small intestines and the lungs to those cells to try to help them survive. So our goal is to try to get our person to survive. All right, so at this point, I want you to pause your video and I want you to open up the lesson brief. If you'll click right here on the top of Amplify, you'll see that there are some resources for you. So I want you to play this video here, the body systems model. Okay, so I want you to play that right now. So pause this video and play that video. So remember in this model, now that you're back, we're going to be investigating this question. How do the molecules from food and air get into the cells of the body? And I want you to think about what are you doing for your role in the classroom system models? And when we're done, I want you to think about what you have learned about the body system or the cells in the body from doing this specific model. So now we're ready to go ahead and run the model. And we're going to review the way the classroom was set up one more time. Okay. And I will have those cards put out for you. Okay, so for the digestive system, if you're running the digestive system, you start at the environment station. You're going to carry the molecules from that environment station to the small intestines. If you are a respiratory system person, then you are going to start at the environment station and carry them to the lungs. Circulatory, you'll start at the lungs or the small intestine and carry it from there to the cells. Then if you're a cell, you're going to start at the station matching your cell and collect and send signals about the molecules needed. So you're going to talk to people and say, hey, I need this. Hey, I need that, so you can survive. Okay, so now that you're done with your model, we're going to go ahead and debrief. So if you haven't, pause the video, do that activity, and come right back to this. So, going to give you guys a minute to discuss it with your groups. Make sure you discuss this question. What did you do in your role? And there was another question we asked earlier. What did you learn about this body system or cell in the body from from participating in this model? So discuss that with your group members. If you need to pause it now, please do so. So key concept you should have taken away from today's lesson. We have a few of these. I'm going to go through these. The digestive system brings in food and breaks it down into smaller molecules such as glucose and amino acids that can fit into the cell. Now you guys each have a metabolism tab in your binder. You need to check these before you do your check off every day. You should go through this key concept and see if you get it before you go do your mastery check. The respiratory system, this is key concept number 2, brings oxygen molecules from the air. These oxygen molecules are already small enough to fit into the cells. That's why we didn't have to break them down anymore. Key concept number 5, the circulatory system transports glucose, oxygen, and amino acid molecules to every cell in the body. And then the last key concept is that cells can only use the molecules that are small enough to enter those cells. So in the last few minutes of the activity, we should have introduced the heart attack. And if you had that, then you had an issue with your heart and you weren't able to pump enough blood to meet the cell's needs. So that could have represented a problem in your cells. So what is happening in Eliza's body that could be preventing her molecules from getting to her cells? Now, if you are doing the should do, the homework is activity 5. So this is a should do. And for this activity, you're going to observe the different systems and answer the questions about what you observe. So this lesson is actually an Amplify. It is part, again, that's part 5. So you'll launch that metabolism sim that you've been using. Open up Healthy Body, observe, and you're going to be feeding the body sandwiches. And I want you to focus on what happens in the digestive system. You do have a few more questions to answer as well in your homework. Please make sure you view part 5 in your lesson.